the year. The weather cools down, the leaves change, and everything feels cozy. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. Today, I'll be reading my subscribers' scary stories. So if you guys are interested, grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. Hey Daisy, to preface the story, I should say that I grew up in a super religious household. I was raised Pentecostal. You know, the church folks that speak in tongues, fall back when the Holy Spirit touches them, and scream and shout during church services. As such, my mom has always been really into the angels and demons facet of Christianity. I'm in grad school and the fall semester is my favorite time of the year. By that, I mean that the August to December months are my absolute favorite of the year. The weather cools down, the leaves change, and everything feels cozy. I made a commitment to myself long ago that no matter what, I would try my hardest to be present and enjoy my favorite months. So there I was, enjoying my November, going to school, working, and gorging myself on every pumpkin spice flavored thing imaginable, when something stopped me dead in my tracks. I don't know what happened, but something changed from day to night. All of a sudden, I couldn't focus on my schoolwork whatsoever. I had this disgusting headache that was only on my forehead, right in between my eyebrows, and I felt this overwhelmingly heavy feeling that I can only describe as being the absolute worst lethargy I've ever felt in my life. As I tried to fall asleep at night, I physically couldn't. I would sleep for a handful of minutes and wake up with that pressure on my forehead, feeling even stronger. Somehow, I managed to power through the next few days when suddenly a random conversation with my brother brought me back to reality. I was sitting at my desk trying to finish a discussion post for the week when my brother came in asking me if he could nap on my bed. I agreed, asking him what was wrong with his bed. He was quiet for a few moments before finally responding, "I don't know. I just haven't been able to sleep lately." Not thinking anything of his reply, I echoed his sentiments. I submitted my homework and out of pure exhaustion and frustration, laid on my bed next to my brother. He was still awake and could see something was bothering me, so he asked me what was wrong. Through an exasperated sigh, I tell him that I've been feeling off all week long and that I'm beyond tired and weak for no apparent reason. He shoots up from the bed and widens his eye before exclaiming, "Me too!" I didn't reply much as I don't think my brain registered what he said. But looking back on it, something was festering in my house. Later that night, I was at the grocery store with my mom and brother. By that point, I was beyond checked out. I was mindlessly holding onto the shopping cart while following my mom around the fluorescent aisles of the store. I felt awful, exhausted, and weak. Couldn't think properly, and I felt like someone was shoving a sharp tool through my forehead and into my brain on a loop. After we left the store, my mom offered to get us dinner at a local burger joint a few minutes away. My brother and I weren't hungry, so only my mom ordered. And while waiting in the drive-thru line, I mentioned to her that my brother and I had both been having a bad week. She peels her eyes from the menu to look at me dead in my eyes. "What do you mean?" I tell her how I've been feeling for the past few days, and my brother jumps in to share how he's feeling. That's when I was taken aback. He described something different than I did. He said that for the past few nights, something kept appearing in his dreams. He said he wasn't sure if it was evil, but he knew it wasn't pleasant. He said that all week, every time he'd close his eyes, he'd feel that presence almost tormenting him. I got an uneasy feeling in my stomach as my mom replied, "I'm sorry, that's my fault. I think I opened a window and I've been trying to close it." The ride home after the restaurant was quiet. Neither one of us asked my mom for details. Unfortunately, this has happened many times before. I said in the beginning that my mom has an interest in angels and demons, and she's often taken giant research sessions into a topic that never ends up with a good result. Something my brother and I have learned with all of this is not to ask questions. We pulled into our driveway, and between the three of us, collected all the groceries and food and headed inside the house. I unlocked the door and went in first. I stumbled through the dark hallway before setting the groceries down on the kitchen table and turning on the kitchen lights. Something felt and looked wrong. The air inside my house felt unbelievably dark, practically oppressive. Standing in my kitchen felt wrong, like I was violating some unspoken rule. My mom and brother hurried in after me, and they immediately went quiet and stared into the living room. I turned around to see a dense, gray cloud on the ceiling of my house. Everywhere I looked, I saw this thick haze. I rubbed my eyes, thinking my contacts must be dry or warping my vision somehow, but every time I blinked, the cloud didn't move. We were quiet, and the more I registered what was happening, the worse I felt. I looked at my mom and brother, and we all had the same blank expression, only with our eyebrows involuntarily furrowed. My mom ran to her room while calling me to follow. I didn't want to go into her room and see what she was researching, but something made me follow her. I wasn't in control of my body. I was walking, but my steps hitting the floor didn't register in my brain. I felt like my body was made out of air. I made it to her room, and the thick cloud must have covered half the space. I wanted to throw up. I never felt such an insane amount of dread all at once. I could vaguely hear her apologizing as she shuffled through some papers and flipped the pages of a thick book. She showed me a few things that had sigils and symbols covering every inch of the pages. There were pages everywhere on her bed and floor. I couldn't stomach it anymore. I just looked at her and didn't say anything. I walked away from her room and returned to my room. All I remember is my body floating downwards onto my bed and finally being able to find some sleep. The following day, everything and everyone was okay. Things went back to normal that next day. I'm not sure what my mom was trying to do, nor do I care to ask, but I'm thankful she could close the window she opened. I had a stern talk with her a few days later and told her that she needed to stop messing around with that stuff. She reluctantly agreed, but I doubt she'll listen to me. Funnily enough, this hasn't even been the worst experience. She used to be a preacher when I was younger, and my goodness, the things I've seen are insane. I'm not religious that much myself anymore, but I've always stood by this motto. When it comes to supernatural and spiritual stuff, they can't if you don't let them. Anyways, please stay safe, and I'm sending you lots of virtual pumpkin spice and cream cheese muffins. Melvin. Hi Daisy, my name is Katie. So this story I'm about to tell you happened at a one-bedroom apartment my husband and I used to live in with our 8-year-old, who was 4 years old at the time. I apologize if my story is long, but as I recall, you love long stories, so I will give you about 4 stories. We lived next to one other unit. Our unit was so small, you could tell that it was an old unit because all of the cabinets and flooring were pretty old looking. I've always been told that when you have doorways that align with each other, it's a passage, sort of like a portal for the spiritual realm to travel through. I'm not too sure how true that is, but things that happened in this place made me sure of it. With the way our back and front door was set up, they were aligned across each other perfectly. So if you were to walk in our front door, which was the door you would access to get to the courtyard, when you would walk in our place, you would see the back door right across the front door. The back door just led to our alley and where we parked our cars. Anyways, as I was getting ready to tuck her in, my husband told me that he was going to take the trash out. As I was tucking her in, I felt like someone was behind me. Mind you, I was facing towards the window of my room with my back facing towards my room door, which was just my hallway. The place was so old that even if you barely moved our room door, you could hear a little creak. So as I was laying there, I felt like someone was behind me. I thought it was my husband. I called out, "Babe," and no answer. I thought maybe he already came back from throwing out the trash and getting the mail, but it was quiet. All of a sudden, my daughter tells me, "Mom, I see someone behind you." And girl, when she said that, I shit bricks. And as much as I knew that she was telling the truth, I kept trying to tell her it was nothing because I was scared as heck myself. But I knew for a fact that she did see something because I believe little kids can see stuff, and this wasn't the first time she mentioned she had seen something in this place. I even turned around and saw nothing, which gave me even more chills because I remember hearing the door creak as if someone was standing in the doorway. When my husband came back, I asked him if he was in the house 5 minutes ago. He replied, "No, I just came back." And that gave me even more chills. Of course, I went to bed like it was nothing, but it was still on my mind as I was going to sleep. Another encounter in that same apartment, I was tucking my daughter in again, but this time my husband was in the living room watching TV, which, by the way, wasn't that far from my room since the apartment was small. As I was laying there tucking in my daughter, who was only 3 at the time, we were just laying there and kind of just talking to each other. As we were talking, out of nowhere, my daughter tells me, "Mom, I see a monster in the closet making faces at me to each other." As we were talking, out of nowhere, my daughter tells me, "Mom, I see a monster in the closet making faces at me." And that gave me chills right away. I already knew she was most likely telling the truth. And of course, what do? I turn to look at the closet, but I see nothing. So I tried to just tell her to go to sleep and that I'm here to protect her so nothing will happen. So she falls asleep shortly after. But I'm laying there thinking to myself, like, what face did she see? What kind of monster? After thinking to myself, and with my daughter being asleep, I just went back to the living room to finish watching TV with my husband. Now, I was going to tell my husband, but my husband is the kind of person that doesn't like to hear about anything paranormal because he's a firm believer of what you think about, you bring about. So, of course, I go back to the living room like I didn't just hear my daughter say what she said. LOL. So okay, by now you're probably wondering, girl, why didn't you just leave? LOL. Rent was too good at the time for what we had and where we are in, which is California, so we couldn't complain, especially when I hadn't seen anything yet. But eventually, we did move out. So this story is about me taking a day off from work, so it was just me at home by myself. I was trying to do some self-care because, you know, we all need that once in a while, even if that means taking a day off from work. I had just got off the phone with my husband since he was on his lunch break, and I was getting ready to eat myself. I was warming up some food in the microwave, and as I was sitting there at my kitchen table, I was scrolling through my phone. All of a sudden, I hear a light whisper. I didn't think too much of it because honestly, I thought it was the fridge making noise. So I didn't think twice. A couple minutes passed by and I hear it again. And now I'm sitting, really thinking to myself, like, that was the fridge, right? So I tried to ignore it and go on scrolling. Then I heard another whisper, but this time it was closer to my ear. And girl, when I tell you I grabbed my keys so fast and went out the back door to my car, I left so fast I didn't even put shoes on. As I drove away, I called my husband and went to go park on the street right outside of my alley and was on the phone with my husband explaining to him what just happened. He asked me, well, what are you going to do? Just sit outside until I get home? And I said, hell yes. But then eventually an hour passed and I was like, I'll just go back. So I went back and luckily I didn't hear anything else. So this next encounter is when I saw something myself. It was just another night on a weekday. My husband wanted to go to bed early, so he told me he was going to see me in bed. And usually I don't like to sit in the living room alone to watch TV at night. I don't know why I feel that way, but I've always been that way. And it's only at night. So this time, of course, I decided to just stay up a little longer and stay in our living room to watch TV while my daughter and husband went to bed. The way my living room is set up is like this, where I was sitting in the living room on the couch against the wall directly across from the TV, which was next to the hallway leading to my bathroom and bedroom. My bedroom was the first door to the right, and the bathroom was at the end of my hallway on the left. So where I'm sitting on the couch, you can see the bathroom door perfectly. Everything was normal. I was sitting there watching TV. 10 minutes had passed by, where everything was fine. Then, out of the corner of my eye, where the bathroom door was, I had seen a shadow of something, like peeking out the door, then going back behind the door, then again out the door. So it looked like someone was looking, hiding, then looking and hiding. I thought I was tripping, so I did what you would see in movies. Rubbed my eyes and looked, and I didn't see anything. But at that moment, I was already on edge, like, what the hell did I just see? So I tried to let it go and kept watching TV. Then I saw it one more time and I said, nope, forget this. I turned everything off and went to bed. And let me tell you, it was so hard to fall asleep because out of all of the times my daughter told me she saw something, I finally saw it myself. I couldn't see the face. It was like a silhouette of a person, but I knew it was something. After this day, that's when I would hear scratching noises outside my bedroom window around 10-11 p.m. It sounded like someone was sweeping the floor, but also dragging their feet at the same time. It was like a weird pattern in the noise. It wasn't like one long drag. It sounded like someone was sweeping and then they would stop and then it would start again, but then it sounded like feet dragging. Anyways, I didn't look out the window to find out, but I knew this place was definitely haunted. Shortly after, we moved out and we went to stay with my in-laws. Till this day, I don't know what my daughter saw exactly, and I don't know exactly what that noise was outside my bedroom window. I mean, come on, no one would really be outside at 10-11 p.m. sweeping or just dragging their feet. Anyways, that was it. I hope you enjoyed my stories. I have more to tell, but we'll send in another email when I get the chance. XOXO, Katie. Hi Daisy, I hope you find this well. I hesitated to send this in because I've never spoken about this to anyone in my family except my mother and brother, and it's only come up twice. I was about 9 and my brother was 7. My parents moved us to Brooklyn. There were many strange things happening to my parents. It was believed that a brujo had cursed my father. My mother did not believe in brujos, however, my father did. This curse was apparently done by a niece of my father's and her boyfriend at that time. After this, my father lost his job he'd been with for more than 5 years. He was not well mentally, since this curse was to make him go insane and never work again. He didn't want to look for work. My mom had to work to support us. One day we got home and my father had given our furniture away, sent the rest of our belongings to Puerto Rico. We were left with nothing. No beds, no clothes, nothing except the food in the house. This was not like my father. He'd always supported us and was always responsible. My mother's sister, her husband, and 3 kids lived in Puerto Rico at this time. They were going through worse matters than us, but we were not aware of it. We moved to an apartment that was on the 4th floor of a building. There was another family with 2 children, a brother and a sister, who lived above us. While coming home from school, they would see us and start trouble, and we'd end up arguing. This was an everyday occurrence. On the weekends, they would knock on our door and run away. We'd come to the door and no one was there. However, we would hear the laughter, running footsteps, and the door to their apartment slam shut. So we knew the kids were at it again. Well, one night, as my mom, dad, my brother, and I were watching TV, we heard loud knocks on our door. Before she could say anything, my brother and I ran to the door to see who it was. We asked, "Who is it?" but no one answered. We opened the door and no one was there. My brother and I go back and we tell my mom that no one was there. But again, there was another loud knock at the door. This time, my mom goes to the door with us, opens the door, and no one. My brother yells, "You better stop knocking on our door or else." Thinking it was the kids from the upstairs, we went back to watching TV, but then there was a loud knock at the door again. This time, my mother said to ignore it, but the knock at the door would not stop, and it was getting louder. My mother rushed to the door, and we followed, but again, no one. The hallway was silent. No laughters, no footsteps, no door slamming. Well, we returned to watching TV in our bedroom and settled in for bed, when we see our sheer curtains to our bedroom door swift upward as if someone was standing in the doorway, lifting up the curtain. This was not like the wind blowing it away from the door, but as if someone standing there lifted those curtains. I was so scared, my brother and I started screaming. We startled my dad, who had been sleeping this whole time. Seconds after this happened, my aunt from Puerto Rico called to say her husband took his own life in his home. My grandmother thinks he came to say goodbye to us since he was very close to my father. My father insisted that my mother accompany him to a reading because he wasn't getting better and he was thinking bad thoughts. When they did his reading, my father was told that my father's niece and boyfriend prepared something so that they could remove my father from his job and her boyfriend could be the replacement. My father was also informed that this was to take years, so he wouldn't find work, and eventually, from the distress and the anxiety, he would get depressed and take his own life. My father recovered through the grace of God, but it was not easy. It took a lot of mental work. And after that, I've never experienced anything like it again. And I hope I never will, because these things do exist. Thanks, Medium. Hi Daisy, my name is Nick and I live in a small town in California. I've had quite a few paranormal experiences, but for now, I'm going to tell you about some experiences at a haunted apartment that I used to live with my husband and eventually my 2 roommates who are also a couple. We no longer live there and we moved to a different location. Thankfully, my husband and I first moved to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in our early 20s before we got married. Our first few months were uneventful until our first roommate, Angel, moved in with us. He's one of those people who attract the paranormal and is relatively sensitive to it. Something had unfortunately followed him to our apartment when he moved in with us. After a couple of weeks of Angel settling into the spare bedroom, weird stuff started happening. I would wake up to use the bathroom at 2 or 3 in the morning. When I would walk into the small hallway and stand in front of the bathroom door to open it, I would feel something looking at me from the pitch darkness of the dining room, living room across the hall. I refused to look. I would use the bathroom and scurry back to my bedroom and close the door. But I was not the only person to feel this. Some of our friends that would stay the night would feel it or see a shadow standing in the hallway when everyone in the apartment was asleep. There were also times where I would be washing the dishes or watching TV and I would see a black blur running from the corner of my vision, and I would get goosebumps and just try to simply ignore it. Some days I would get so uneasy, especially going past Angel's room in the hallway when I would be home alone. I always closed his room door out of fear that something was watching me from the doorway. Eventually, we found out what was living with us at the apartment, and it was unfortunately not human, and Angel was the poor soul who had to see it. Angel was in his room one night after a long day of work. He woke up sweaty in the middle of the night. His room was very dark. The only source of light was his computer charging cable that glowed a faint blue in the darkness of his floor. Angel turned over on his left side toward the door and closet. He got an uneasy feeling and looked up. There, in the corner of the dark bedroom on the ceiling, he saw what looked like a very bony, skinny thing with long black thinning hair and a white dress gripping the walls with its grotesque long fingers. Eyes were sunken in and beady, staring down at him. It had a nasty grin on its twisted face. It was staring at him for what felt like an eternity until he blinked and it slowly faded away into the darkness. The next morning, Angel told my husband and I what happened. My husband was rather skeptical, brushing it off. I was very uneasy, knowing I wasn't just feeling and seeing things. There was actually something in the apartment. Angel asked if I would bless his room and sage it in fear of going to sleep. So I prepared myself during the week and performed the cleansings along with my husband, who didn't seem to worry that much. Nothing bothered Angel afterwards, and his stay was relatively peaceful. After the cleansing, I, for whatever reason, became sensitive. I would get lots of nightmares and night terrors from it. But I will send those stories in for another time. So that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. The big thank you to everyone that sent in their stories. As always, thank you guys so much. But if you have a scary story that you like to share on my channel, please feel free to send it in at daisyspooks@gmail.com. All that information will be down below. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in my next one. Bye.
For $5, please.
To my channel, my name is Daisy. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about some haunted highways in Mexico. So if you're interested, grab your snacks, grab your Kobe, and let's get straight into it. So the first highway that we are going to talk about is the highway that is in La Ciudad de Mexico, the city of Mexico. Many truck drivers and bus drivers have seen this older lady appear near the exit of the highway. It is said that this older woman appears in humble clothing and her face is always looking down to the ground. Now, if the driver stops to help the lady tells the driver to take her to the nearest hospital. To those drivers that help the lady, nothing bad happens. She just gets off a couple miles down and she just thanks the driver for their assistance. But if you refuse or you ignore this lady, good luck. It is said that the old lady will appear further down the drive, flying next to your window, resulting in a fatal accident or some serious injuries. Now for the next haunted highway, Kilómetro 31 in Toluca. Now this highway is called Desierto de los Leones, Desert of the Lions, and this road is very dangerous due to its climate in the nighttime specifically, because it's usually very foggy and raining most of the time. And also this highway has very sharp curved roads, making it very, very dangerous to be driving at night with the climate conditions and all the curved roads. Like, ooh, no thank you. Now on top of that, at all the strange encounters people have experienced at night, people have seen an apparition of a little boy, people have seen silhouettes of monks, and also dark shadows. Ooh, Lord have mercy, no thank you, especially in the night. I'll pass. In my previous video, I added a clip of a boy in a carretera. Now, people believe that video was taking place here in this highway, in Kilómetro 31. Now, I'm not sure if it for sure is or not, but let me replay for you guys, just for you guys to have a visualization of what can possibly happen in this highway. Now let me know, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it is a real apparition of a little boy? Let me know down below for sure. Regardless, looking at that in the night is spooky itself, regardless if it's alive or not. Now for the next highway, La Rumorosa, also known as La Carretera de la Muerte, and for my non-Spanish speakers, the Highway of Death. Now, this highway in Baja California is said to be one of the most dangerous highways in Mexico due to its sharp curved roads, resulting in many fatal accidents. Now, for this reason alone, it is said to have a lot of paranormal activity. People have encountered seeing witches, duendes, even the devil himself. One of the legends that are commonly known in La Rumorosa is about a nurse named Eva. Now, the story goes that one early morning, Eva got a call to assist in one accident that happened in La Rumorosa. Being that Eva was so devoted to her work, she went with no problem. But unfortunately, she never returned back home. After her disappearance, her family and friends searched La Rumorosa, but there was no trace, no sign that Eva was there. It is rumored that she was kidnapped for a satanic ritual or that she got lost on her way. But drivers say that they have seen her countless of times in La Rumorosa. Drivers claim to have seen her all dressed in white, asking for a ride, just for her to appear in the backseat or on the passenger side. Now, another paranormal sighting from La Rumorosa is a guy riding his bike late at night. Drivers have seen him riding his bike, nothing out of the ordinary, just this guy riding his bike in a very dangerous road, but whatever. But until this man riding his bike without caution swerves into the lane of the car, resulting in the driver to run into him. So they thought. The drivers quickly get outside of their car to make sure this guy is alright, but to their surprise, once they check around, there is no bike, there is no man in sight. So now for our next highway, Carretera 57, Highway 57 from Monterrey to Saltillo. So legend goes that there was this truck driver driving this highway in the early morning when he saw a young, beautiful lady asking for a ride. He stopped and asked her where she was heading to, and she responded to him saying that she was going to a nearby rancho. So he agreed to take her. Throughout the drive, everything seemed very normal. They were just casually conversating until she had to get down. down. When she got down, she said her goodbyes and told him, here's my address so you can visit me. And she also said to take precaution with the sharp curved roads ahead. Well, a few days later, the truck driver decided to go to the address that the girl had gave him. The man knocked on the door to be received by her parents. The truck driver explained the situation to the parents and asked to speak with the girl. But the parents were stunned because the parents told him that their daughter had passed away 2 years ago in a car accident in that very highway, in the sharp curved roads that she warned him about. So now for the next highway, a highway in Cuernavaca. One of the stories that is told in this highway from Cuernavaca is of a lady that is seen in bloody clothes on the side of the road. The story goes that there is this couple having a heated argument resulting in the man stabbing the woman to death. And people have claimed to see sightings of her roaming down that highway in her bloody clothes asking for help. Now another story that has been told is about a red car. Now in this red car, there are 4 beautiful women that lure the men in, and later those men are never found alive. If the bodies are found, now I'm talking if the bodies are found, it is said that their bodies appear to have signs of being tortured and have strange symbols on their body as if it was some kind of ritual. Now these are all cuentos, these are all stories, but it is very fascinating to think these stories could be real. And regardless if it's real or not, it's still super entertaining for me, so I have to share them with you guys. So now I'm going to be reading some of my subscribers' scary stories. I've been wanting to read more stories. You guys have the best stories, so buckle up. We are in for a treat, okay? So let me start off with story number 1. Hi, it's Gerardo. Story number 1. This story takes place in Mexico, Durango. I remember when I was 6 years old, my grandpa told me a story that happened in real life. He told me that one day my grandma and grandpa were walking on the streets. It was like 6 p.m. They were walking peaceful until they saw a man, a creepy old man. The man was tall. He had big, large teeth that looked like dog's teeth. He had long hair, pelo largo, that were dreadlocks that would touch his feet. My grandpa said that he was un adivinador, like he can predict someone's future. The old man told my grandpa to come. So he went to the old man, leaving my grandma behind. The old man said, "Hey, I had a vision of you. Your wife is going to go to the United States because one of your children is going to have a really bad sickness. This is going to be very soon." The old man left. My grandpa went to my grandma. My grandma said, "What did he want? What did he tell you?" My grandpa said, "This man's crazy." My grandpa told my grandma everything. 1 week went by. My grandpa saw my grandma sad. My grandpa went to my grandma and said, "What's wrong?" And my grandma said, "It's our daughter, Lucia. She called me saying that she has cancer." My grandpa was shocked to hear this. My grandma said, "I'm going to have to go to the United States." So my grandma gathered her things and left. But before she left, she said, "I'm going to call you soon, so be on the lookout." 2 weeks went by and my grandpa didn't hear anything from my grandma. My grandpa was so worried. He decided to have a walk. Then he saw the old man again. He started to laugh at my grandpa. "You thought I was crazy? But look, you're wrong. I know your wife is in the United States and she told you she'll call you. Don't worry, she'll call you tonight at 9 p.m. The old man was about to leave. My grandpa said, "Hey, who are you?" The old man said, "My name is Ricardo." Then he left. Ooh, my eyes are getting teary. I don't even know why. Holy, oh God, Lord. My grandpa went back to his house and was about to go to sleep until he heard a phone call. It was my grandma, and it was 9 p.m. My grandpa was shocked about the old man. Then he answered, "Hola." My grandma said, "Hola, ya llegué. Hey, I just got here. I'm with Lucia. Right now she's fine. But Sarah called me and said that she's going to leave her daughter with you. Only for tonight because she's going to Sinaloa." My grandpa said, "Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to have heard from you." Then he hung up. The next day, my Aunt Sarah dropped my cousin at my grandpa's house. My grandpa spent the whole day with my baby cousin. Pero una noche, one night, my grandpa heard unos platos that fell off the table. He heard some plates fall off the table. My grandpa got his gun and went to the kitchen. to see what was going on. My grandpa went to the kitchen and saw the broken plates. He searched around the house and there was nothing. But at that moment, he heard my baby cousin crying. He went back to his room, but until he saw a big black dog, un perro negro that had red eyes, a dog that had red eyes. The dog was trying to take my baby cousin para comérsela, to eat her. My grandpa shot a bullet into the sky, which made the dog run out of the room. My grandpa went to see my baby cousin. She was crying. My grandpa got some scissors and went outside to see the black dog. He heard the growl of the dog. When the moment he came out, the black dog jumped over him. He was trying to kill my grandpa, but he had his gun, so he shot the dog. The black dog went away running. My grandpa followed it. Then the black dog stopped in the mountain. The black dog turned into a ball of fire. My grandpa shot twice at the ball of fire. Then that ball of fire just flew away. The next day, my Aunt Sarah came back from Sinaloa and took my baby cousin. He told her everything that happened last night. My aunt was shocked. The afternoon came. My grandpa was walking on the streets, but until he saw the old man, he was walking as if he was injured. But my grandpa saw that he had gauze wrapped around his leg. Then it dawned on him that he was the black dog and the ball of fire, that he was the one trying to take my baby cousin. A year went by. The old man died of a disease. I mean, he had it coming, for sure. And this story was so creepy. Like, hide your kids, hide your wife, because people be out here. But thank you so much, Gerardo. If you are watching, your story had me shook. So now for the next story. This story happened to me and my mom. Keep in mind that this took place in a small street where cars usually don't pass by. One day, my mom went to pick me up from a program that I was going to. And you know how in October, like around 8 p.m., it's already really dark. Well, it was around 8 something when she picked me up and we were on our way to the house, when we saw in the middle of the street something or someone appear just walking. So when my mom saw that, she started slowing down because she said, let me not run this person over. Once we got closer, we realized that the waist up wasn't there. I told my mom, písale, because it was not a normal person, and we just drove off. Then later on down the road, we realized that there was a cemetery, and I told my mom maybe it was a spirit from the cemetery, and she said, yeah, maybe. Until this day, we still say, what was that? Yeah, what the heck? That, I'm sure I had to do something with that cemetery, because I mean, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I couldn't read all your other stories. Honestly, my eyes are feeling super strained, like strained from seeing my computer. But thank you so much. I wish I could read more of your stories, because they sound very interesting just by glancing through it. But thank you so much. Hopefully next video that I do read my subscriber stories, I get to feature yours. So thank you so much. So that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry that I had to cut the video a little bit short because of my strained eyes, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome to my channel. My name is Daisy. For today's video, we are going to be reading some of my subscribers' scary stories. So if you're interested, grab your snacks, grab your cobija, and let's get straight into it. But before we read the stories, I do want to clarify something that happened in the last video. Many of you guys were commenting saying that around the 14-minute mark, you guys heard whispers. I just wanted to say those were not whispers. That was just background noise. My camera is right next to my window, so you guys are going to hear a lot of the outside noise. I just want to clarify that. Didn't want to scare you guys. That was the outside noise, no whispers, no nothing. They were talking and my camera picks it up and you guys might hear it as a whisper. So no, nothing paranormal. I just want to be very transparent with you guys porque tampoco, like, I don't want you guys to be scared or I don't know, you know? So yeah, that's that. And let's just move on to the stories. Okay, but now let's start with story number 1. So this all started happening when I was 17. I lived in a small town and my family and I were moving back to our hometown, which was also a small town. So once my parents bought the house, which we still currently live in, we moved in very quickly, not noticing anything out of the ordinary. The first couple of days, everything was fine. It was about the 4th night that from the end of the hallway, in between my sister's room and my parents' room, you could hear whistling. My bedroom was all the way at the beginning of the hall, and there was a bathroom in between. Our house is fairly old, so whenever you open any of the doors, or even if you're just walking on the floor, you can hear when someone's awake or walking. I got up and looked out into the hallway, but nobody was awake. I could hear both of my parents snoring, and so I turned on the hallway light and went into my sister's room to see if either of them had gotten up. But by the effort it took to wake them up, I knew they hadn't been. I went back to my bed and that was the first time that anything ever happened. As the years have gone by, things just happen all the time that we're just so numb to it at this point. Doors open and close during the middle of the night. Our alarm system will go off without anyone typing in the code during the middle of the night. My mom will wake up with scratches on her chest and arms that she says burns, but we don't have any animals inside. My 3-year-old brother refuses to go into my sister's room because he says that there's a mean old man in there. The thermostat will randomly change temperatures and the wiring has been completely redone. And as before, constant whistling, and only during the middle of the night. Because we live in a small town and everybody knows everybody, we started asking around about a year ago. We had come to find out that my sister's friend and her family used to live in our house and that they moved out right away after their grandfather died. His family had said he died in his room, which was the last room in the hallway to the right, which is now my sister's room. Over the years, we told my mom and dad that we need to have the house blessed and cleansed, but they don't want to upset the spirit. I mean, if you feel uneasy at your house, I think seek a professional. I do not want anything to harm you guys because your mom's already waking up with scratches and then the code of your guys' house is getting unlocked. Like, that is dangerous now at that point. So honestly, I just hope you guys find a resolution. Hopefully this calms down. I definitely hope that this can resolve on its own and you do not even have to like seek a professional. But from what you're telling me, maybe you're gonna have to. But I wish you all the best. I wish your family all the best, and I hope you guys are okay. This story, I read it on my last video, but the clip went away. I don't know where it went. So that kind of creeped me out because this story does creep me out. And I was like, maybe whatever is over there is saying like, no, you're not telling them what happens in this house. That's like the vibe that I got. Anyways, thank you so much. Thank you for writing in. I appreciate you. And hopefully I get to get an update of your paranormal situation. Hopefully it resolves on its own. But thank you so much for writing in. So now moving on to our next story. Hey girlie, I'm not sure when you're gonna do another reading of my subscriber ghost stories, but I have so many I could tell. Anyways, when I was younger, I was able to see ghosts. I had went to see my family in California, and the first time there, I had woken around 3:30-ish, and I saw a girl standing next to the lamp around 3 feet away from me.